5 o'clock. Nice to have you with us. Rico with the day off. Odyssey.com rewind if you want to hear Tigers trade deadline discussion. But I want to bring this up because, God, texting sucks and technology sucks. And earlier today, obviously, I felt personally responsible for killing C.J. Gardner-Johnson. As I left you last week, I said, this man has become my new favorite player because he spoke the gospel about fans in Philadelphia. And then today I'm driving in, and I don't have social medias. I'm driving. Now, obviously, a lot of cars, you have, Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Your vehicle will now read your text to you while you're driving because, you no distracted driving. So anytime something happens in sports like this, my phone explodes. And I'm not mad. It's either people that are in the business or friends or both, and in this case, both. And it's ping, ping, ping. I'm like, oh, my God, what now? So first one comes through, I hit the button. Holy bleep, I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson's dead. I'm like, wait, what? I hit the next one. Carted off, C.J. Gardner-Johnson carted off. Bleep, bleep. You're like, oh, no, this is what I'm going into work with today? I thought I killed the man. Nah, carted off. He's crying. You have reports from reporters near him. This looks really bad. I'm going, oh, my God. I left Friday saying this has become my favorite player. I have espoused his virtues, saying how good he is and how he's a nuclear warhead. You move all over the field, corner, safety. He's super versatile, and I was pumped when we got him and carted off on day one of camp. And you go, oh, my God, the hit list has struck. But then, as the day went along, reports now, no structural damage to the knee. The MRI is clean, and he is listed currently as day-to-day. That is a win, and I would like to tell you, we spend a lot of time busting David's chops. I'd like to personally thank David and his God that we didn't lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson on day one of camp. Because, David, the last thing I wanted is when Captain Fun and Son comes back tomorrow. I do not want to hear it from him. There's nothing stopping this train except injuries.
Correct.
And you lose a player like that for the year on day one of camp. I don't want to hear about Brian Branch. I don't want to hear about replacing him. David, my heart stopped. And then I immediately went into, oh, my God, we have to open the show with why us. Thank God we don't have to do that. I was terrified we lost him for the year.
Yeah, I immediately jumped to, oh, no, here come all the SOL fans saying we can never have anything right. Yep. Here we go again. I'm like, oh, we don't need that. I felt bad for Lions fans. I truly felt bad. Texted my friends. I'm like, I really feel bad for you. This is the first day. And now he's alive again. He's day to day. He went from dead to day to day.
We listen, when he is back practicing, I'll feel good. But when all you get are the texts while you're driving, cart it off. People sending you links and, the first text coming through, and I'm not going to say who it was, but when it reads, I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson just died. That's not how I wanted to start my Monday. Coming into work, I'm like, oh, no, not this. We didn't even get the hot air balloon off the ground, and something went wrong.
Didn't get through a full first practice.
But here, David, it happens every year. That first week of camp, there's a handful of non-contact. Now, this one had contact. But the non-contact, carted off, donezo for the year injuries. It is like death and taxes. Please, let's keep everybody in bubble wrap. But that was how the day started. Now, that is not going to be a storyline because it looks like the Lions and collectively we have dodged a bullet. But I wanted to bring up what Dan Campbell had to say, and I wanted your thoughts on it. Because Dan Campbell recognizes that the hype train has left the station, and in his words, it's out of control. Let me read this to you. Dan Campbell, quote, it takes a high level of commitment and sacrifice, and that's what makes it special. Because if there are guys who don't quite get there or do that, they get weeded out, and it's not for everybody. I appreciate it, as always. The thing that worries you is the hype train. This thing is taken off, and it's out of control right now. That's fine as long as we stay focused on the job and are hard at work. Now, look, I like that he acknowledged it. I like that Dan Campbell didn't play pretend, like Kirk Cousins on quarterback. I live such an insulated lifestyle, I don't even know. Kurt, you stink. By the way, the episode where the Giants ended his season. Oh my God. That quiet car ride with his wife home. Oh, you just hate to see it. You just hate to see it. And of course, they capped it with Kirk singing gospel music to his child.
Good for him.
No, you just lost a playoff game. Go sit in the dark in the basement. As far as Campbell, watch Quarterback on Netflix. It's tremendous. But as far as Campbell goes, I think it is the ultimate sign of a leader to go, you know what, guys? We're not going to run from this. We're opening camp. We're everybody's darling. Let's acknowledge it. Let's not play pretend. Let's not act like we don't know. Now, what are we going to do with it? See, I'm very comfortable versus when an inexperienced head coach who does not have rings or doesn't, I don't think you get to play the la. I don't hear it. I don't see it. We're tuning it all up. Don't do that. That's dishonest. Like that phrase, I can't say on the air, but don't bleep on my head and tell me it's raining. No. Cop to it. I think it's Dan Campbell's profile. Honest, upfront, open book. Yeah, hype train's out of control. We'll get a handle on it. And to me, I want more hype. I love the fact over the weekend, BetMGM. Lions are the most bet-on team to win the Super Bowl. Part of that is long odds, right? But part of it is outside of San Francisco or Philadelphia, who are you going to take in the NFC? You're not taking the Vikings. You're not taking Seattle. You're not taking the Giants or the Cowboys or the Commanders or / football team / Redskins / they might be labeled the ice cream cones next week. Who are you taking? You're taking the Lions. Don't run from it. I'm excited about it. I love the fact that we're hurtling towards that opener in Kansas City. The whole world's going to be watching. That's something this town hasn't had in how long? You better embrace it because I think hiding from it, you're hurting yourself. So I loved what Campbell said, and I just kind of wondered where people were at. And then, yes, we don't have to do a C.J. Gardner-Johnson in memoriam. It sounds like we dodged a bullet there.
No milk carton picture out there for him.
Just a silhouette of the guy I was most excited this team signed. The guy that was the chef's kiss on the offseason, that as good as Sutton could be or Mosley could be. And obviously, we're excited about Aiden, excited about some of these other guys in the front. C.J. Gardner-Johnson brings a championship-level pedigree and a versatility, and he gives you a buffer that you don't need Branch early. I thought we lost him for the year.
Well, he brings you an attitude, and Taylor Decker spoke after the injury we didn't know yet. He didn't know yet, but he spoke on it. He said, look, it sucks, but what he brings to that DB room, he talks. It's what he brings, that attitude, that confidence that he's going to bring, and Branch eventually will hopefully get some of that as a rookie and, so on, but that helps the team. But about Dan Campbell here's what I get from Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
They're not doing hard knocks. But what I think Dan Campbell did right there is gave us an insight of his message to the players.
Yep.
That's what he did. Of course, we're not going to get everything he said to the player because I'm very well sure that it was a whole lot of things said.
Man.
But this message here was to the players. Look, the hype is real. I know you read things. I know you see things. I do too. But let's keep moving. Let's work. Let's not get caught up in this hype train. Let's do our job. And I think he's telling the fans and the media, this is what we're doing. This is my message.
Like Andy Reid, Belichick, maybe Sirianni at this point. Those guys get to go, we're tuning everything out. I don't think you do. I think you have to acknowledge it, own it, and then outpace it. So I'm good with it. I mean, it's to me, It's so bizarre to start a training camp feeling as good as I feel about this team. And you know what? Listen, I don't run from the ultimate thing. Think about it. 2 years ago, the Philadelphia Eagles crept into the playoffs, winning a very, very average NFC East. I think they were 8-8 or 9-8 or whatever it was. And they go to Tampa Bay and they got sandblasted in the playoffs. Got absolutely murdered. Hurts looked lost. The team looked lost. They had a nice offseason. They come into last year, they were kind of the it team. They weren't San Francisco. They weren't Dallas. They weren't the Packers, right? They weren't the establishment. They were kind of this buzzy, young it team that Howie Roseman had rebuilt from the ashes in the previous Super Bowl. And what did they go on to do? They go on to lose the Super Bowl at the gun by a field goal, 38-35, in a game they probably should have won. I can cop to that. Gave up a huge punt return, fumble 6, and then the questionable, but it was defensive holding late. Why do I say it? If you told me the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl preseason last year, I would have said, I think you're over your skis a bit. Hurts hasn't shown it. I don't know how the pieces are going to fit. And defensively, did they add enough to make up for a secondary that was very porous 2 years ago? And they did it. It happened. So I don't run from the Super Bowl stuff. The only thing you're going to tell me about the Lions is, well, you can't say that because it's the Lions. I don't subscribe to that. I've never subscribed to it. Before Mark D'Antonio got to Michigan State, I always thought Michigan State could be more and could be a playoff team and could win the Big Ten and could be a power. And they had it for a bit. And then Mark decided to play putt-putt and suntan his last few years. And now we're in this brutal rebuild. I digress. The point is, well, it's Michigan State. Well, yeah, it is. So what? Oh, it's the Lions. So what? It's the same reason I elevate the Tigers. I don't care. I don't care what was. You have to let go of all that. You just can't allow it to wreck you. Like if you lived your life the way that you act as a fan, you'd be dead. You take everything that happened in the past and throw it in the garbage. How much time you got left on this planet? And I guarantee you, if your mind is aligned, you want to accomplish 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the amount of things as you think you have time for. Well, convert it to being a fan. Why would you ever be a fan that way? That's where I've never understood the hype stuff and why Rico's so sensitive to it, where it's like, let's embrace it. So what if they disappoint you? Sports is built on disappointment. Think about it. I didn't mean to ring a bell on that, sorry. Sports is based on it. Like, one team at the end of the year feels great. Even the Philadelphia Eagles last year, they didn't walk away feeling great. They had their guts ripped out. College football, one team ends the year feeling great. Now, you used to be able to feel decent about your season. You made a big bowl game. You take a fancy trip. Hey, we did this. 10 wins used to mean something. That's all gone. That's all gone. But you get my point. The coach is acknowledging it. You need to acknowledge it. And if you want to live scared or just use the past as this enemy, I don't think you're viewing it right. I think you're taking the fun from it. So, yeah, we're hurtling towards Kansas City as 6-point underdogs. Let's do it. Why not? Why can't they win on opening night? Why can't they be the story? And everything flashed before my eyes at the report. C.J. Gardner-Johnson carted off. Oh, God. So it is a delicate balance. But we're back. There's no structural damage. We're good. 248-539-9797.